हेलो फ्रेंड्स, स्वागत है आपका होम्योपैथिक ऑडियो बुक क्लब में। फ्रेंड्स, इस प्लेटफॉर्म से हम आपके लिए वो बुक्स की समरी एक ऑडियो विजुअल फॉर्म में लेके आते हैं जो कुछ खो सी गई है, जो क्लिनिकल प्रैक्टिस में इम्पोर्टेंट तो है, पर समय की कमी की वजह से हम वो बुक्स पढ़ नहीं पाते, जो हमारे सिलेबस का पार्ट नहीं रही है, और फिर शायद हम टाइम ही नहीं दे पाते। इस चैनल से मेरा एफर्ट यही रहेगा कि स्टूडेंट्स और प्रैक्टिशनर को हेल्पफुल हो सके ऐसे कुछ ऑथर्स और उनकी थिंकिंग प्रोसेस, उनके एक्सपीरियंस को वापस समझे, उनकी बुक से कुछ ऐसा नया सीखे और शायद वो नॉलेज कोई पेशेंट को हील करने में हमें हेल्पफुल हो जाए। सो मैं डॉक्टर चार्मी लेकर आई हूँ आपके लिए बुक समरी of the book Hahnemann's Concept of Chronic Disease as Caused by Parasitic Microorganism by Margaret Lucy Taylor। मार्गरेट ने इस बुक में क्रॉनिक मायज़म को एक अलग प्लेटफॉर्म से समझाने का एफर्ट किया है, प्लस उन्होंने काफी सारे केसेस, क्लिनिकल टिप्स शेयर की है जो प्रैक्टिस में काफी हद तक हेल्पफुल हो सकते हैं। सो इस वीडियो को आप एंड तक जरूर सुने। ऑथर ने अपने 30 से भी अधिक सालों के एक्सपीरियंस को हमारे साथ इस बुक के थ्रू शेयर किया है। मार्गरेट ल्यूसी टेलर कौन है, उनका इंट्रोडक्शन मैं अपने फर्स्ट वीडियो द्वारा आपके साथ शेयर कर चुकी हूँ। फ्रेंड्स, हम सबको पता है कि एक्यूट डिजीज लाइक न्यूमोनिया, ब्रोंकोन्यूमोनिया, कॉलेरा में हनीमैन को एक्सीलेंट रिजल्ट्स मिल रहे थे, पर बात जब क्रॉनिक डिजीज की आई तो रिकरेंस और फेलियर थे। सो देयर वाज अ बिग व्हाई कि ऐसा क्यों हो रहा है। हनीमान के स्टूडेंट ने उनको एक ऐसा एक्सक्यूज भी दिया कि शायद मेडिसिन के कम प्रूव होने के कारण ऐसा हो रहा है, बट हनीमान ने खुद को ऐसे एक्सक्यूजेस से सेटिस्फाई नहीं किया। 10 साल तक दिन रात उन्होंने इस वाई का आंसर फाइंड आउट करने की ट्राई की, एंड फाइनली उन्होंने हमारे साथ शेयर की उनकी मार्वलस डिस्कवरी, क्रॉनिक डिजीज, इट्स नेचर एंड ट्रीटमेंट। क्रॉनिक डिजीज को हनेमान ने दो पार्ट में डिवाइड कर दिया है, नॉन मास्मेटिक क्रॉनिक डिजीज एंड मास्मेटिक क्रॉनिक डिजीज। एफोरिज्म 77 ऑफ द ऑर्गेनन में हनेमान ने हमको कहा है, by chronic disease he does not mean those from constant exposure to avoidable noxious influence like habitual indulgence in the excess of eating or drinking, constant want of the necessaries of life, unhealthy dwellings, or those from want of fresh air and exercise, from overtaxed mind and body, from continued mortification and troubles. All this, he says, will vanish by the own accord under improved health conditions, provided there is no chronic miasm pervading the organism. These does not deserve the name of chronic disease. For Hahnemann, true natural chronic diseases are those which have the origin on chronic parasitic miasm or germ. यहाँ पर मार्गरेट ने जो वर्ड यूज किया है वो है क्रॉनिक पैरासाइटिक माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिज्म। यही डिफरेंस है कि हैनेमैन ने वर्ड यूज किया है पैरासाइटिक माइज्म और जर्म, एंड मार्गरेट ने वर्ड यूज किया है क्रॉनिक पैरासाइटिक माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिज्म। और यही वो एक माइन्यूट डिफरेंस है जो मार्गरेट की अंडरस्टैंडिंग को थोड़े अलग प्लेटफॉर्म पे ले जाता है। He says that he says that chronic miasm constantly extend, notwithstanding the most carefully regulated mental and bodily habits. They never cease to torment their victims with constantly renewed suffering to the end of his life, if left to themselves without the aid of special remedies for the relief। मतलब अगर उसको treat नहीं किया गया तो finally it will take the patient to the end of his life. These are the source of great suffering to the human race. The most robust constitution, best of the habits, and greatest energy of unaided vital force are unable to resist them. सो ये बहुत ही बड़े सफरिंग का कारण है और रॉबस्ट कंस्टिट्यूशन भी उसका सामना नहीं कर पाते हैं इफ द प्रॉपर ट्रीटमेंट इज नॉट गिवन। सिफिलिस के बारे में उन्होंने बताया है, hitherto only syphilis was known to some extent as one of these chronic disease which if left uncured will become extinct only with life. So syphilis के बारे में हनीमैन के टाइम में भी सबको पता था कि अगर syphilis की ट्रीटमेंट नहीं की गई तो it may end with the patient's life. Psychosis, the condylomatous disease, if left to itself uncured, is likewise inextinguishable by vital force and was not hitherto recognized as internal chronic miasmatic disease of peculiar nature as is undoubtedly is. So psychosis भी अगर उसकी भी treatment नहीं की गई तो वो भी अंदर जाके it can end with the patient's life. पर साइकोसिस को इंटरनल क्रॉनिक डिजीज के फॉर्म में वो दिनों में इतना नहीं देखा जाता था जितना अभी देखा जा रहा है. जैसे काफी सारे एग्जांपल्स में आगे आएगा कि किस तरह से साइकोसिस को अभी मॉडर्न जनरेशन में एक क्रॉनिक डिजीज के फॉर्म में देख रहे हैं. जैसे कॉन्डाइलोमेटस डिजीज को, नॉट साइकोसिस बट कॉन्डाइलोमेटस डिजीज को. But Hahnemann found both syphilis and gonorrhea easily curable, provided they are not complicated with SORA. So Hahnemann के लिए syphilis और gonorrhea, like psychosis and syphilis, अगर plain miasmatic form में है, then they were very easy to cure. अगर SORA से complicated नहीं हुआ है तो. It must be noticed that Hahnemann's SORA stands at the threshold of his chronic disease and has turned away many from the temple of healing. Of Hahnemann's three named chronic disease, his SORA was for him the hydra-headed, most wide-reaching and difficult of all chronic parasitic microbic disease. He calls it the oldest, most universal, and most pernicious chronic parasitic disease, an ancient, smoldering contagion of incomparably greater significance than either of the above named miasm, syphilis, or psychosis. Friends, Margaret says that does homeopathy fails or do we fail homeopathy? Probably we, all of us, limit ourselves to half homeopathy and therefore reap only half results. And tells us that chronic disease are the test of the genuine healing art because they do not pass into health by itself. So chronic disease ही हमारे टेस्ट है कि जिससे हम देख सकते हैं कि हम right treatment दे रहे हैं कि नहीं. Unless physician imitates my method, he cannot expect to solve the highest problem of the medical science, that of curing those important chronic diseases which have remained uncured until I discovered their true character and proper treatment. Hahnemann's chronic disease was a big pill to swallow for others, and this most important part of his teaching was almost ignored. मार्गरेट का मानना है कि शायद कोई भी ग्रेट टीचर्स हनीमैन के माइज्म को इतना अच्छी तरह से नहीं समझ सके थे एक्सेप्ट बर्नेट जो अपनी वैक्सीनोसिस की थियोरी से क्रॉनिक डिजीज के कंसेप्ट से काफी क्लोज थे. All chronic disease originate and are based on fixed chronic miasm, which enable their parasitical ramification to spread through human organism and to grow without end. I repeat here, all chronic disease originates and are based on fixed chronic miasm, which enable the parasitic ramification to spread through human organism. So हमको जो भी chronic diseases हो रहे हैं उनके बिहाइंड कोई क्रॉनिक पैरासाइटिक माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिज्म रोल प्ले कर रहे हैं. वो सोरा से ओरिजिनेट हो सकते हैं, वो साइकोसिस से ओरिजिनेट हो सकते हैं, वो गोनोरिया से ओरिजिनेट हो सकते हैं या फिर शायद कोई और माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिजम्स भी हो सकते हैं इफ वी सी टू द मॉडर्न वर्ल्ड. And they can only be neutralized and annihilated by a more powerful remedy producing analogous but more powerful effect. And he tells us that treatment must go on till the cure is complete. So treatment तब तक चालू रहनी चाहिए जब तक क्योर पूरा नहीं हो जाता. For least remain of the germ can eventually reproduce the full disease. सो अगर थोड़ा भी ट्रीटमेंट बाकी रह गया है, अगर थोड़े भी जर्म रह गए तो शायद पूरी डिजीज वापस प्रोड्यूस हो सकती है. Apply this to syphilis and gonorrhea. It sounds fearfully modern and up to date. जैसे syphilis और gonorrhea में एलोपैथी में भी या फिर मॉडर्न मेडिसिन में भी ऐसा ही मानते हैं कि उनको पूरे ही एक्सटेंट में ट्रीट करना पड़ता है. Henneman was absolutely right about syphilis and gonorrhea. Even in syphilis, there are occasions that when Wassermann's was negative again and again, organism was found after death in the heart or aorta. Friends, Wassermann test is a uh, test to diagnose syphilis microorganism. और यहाँ पर मार्गरेट ने कहा है कि इवन दो वॉसरमैन बार बार नेगेटिव आए तो भी कोई ऑर्गेनिज्म की डेथ के बाद में उनके हार्ट या एओर्टा में सिफिलिस के माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिजम्स पाए गए थे. गोनोरिया में भी ऐसा हुआ है कि पेशेंट की डेथ के बाद देखा जाए तो गोनोरियल ऑर्काइटिस, रूमेटिज्म या गोनोरियल एंडोकार्डाइटिस कैन बी द कॉज ऑफ डेथ और वहां पर उनके जर्म्स फाउंड होते हैं टेस्टिकल्स में, जॉइंट में, हार्ट में, कहीं पर भी. सिफिलिस के बारे में हैनेमैन लिखते हैं कि it never become extinct in itself and increases from year to year and assumes a new and more dangerous symptom to the end of his life. Yet हैनेमैन ने ऐसा भी लिखा है कि सिफिलिस को ट्रीट करना सबसे ज्यादा इजी है अगर उनको इन सीटू सैंकर लोकली, मतलब जब वो लोकलाइज्ड है तभी ही ट्रीट किया जाए. अगर वो वेनेरियल डिजीज के फॉर्म में हो जाती है तो थोड़ा डिफिकल्ट है. अगर वो सोरा के साथ कॉम्प्लिकेट नहीं हुई है तो उसको ट्रीट करना काफी इजी है. उन्होंने ये भी कहा है कि उनकी 50 इयर्स ऑफ प्रैक्टिस में उन्होंने ऐसा कभी नहीं देखा कि वेनेरियल डिजीज को डिस्टर्ब ना किया जाए तो वो कंस्टिट्यूशनल डिजीज में ब्रेकआउट हो जाए. मतलब जब तक वेनेरियल शैंकर लोकली रहता है और उसको सप्रेस ना किया जाए विद एक्सटर्नल एप्लीकेशन, वो कभी भी सेकेंडरी या टर्शियरी सिम्टम्स में ब्रेकआउट नहीं होती थी. बट जब शैंकर को लोकली डिस्ट्रॉय किया जाए, then organism is ready to cause internal syphilis and break out into a venereal disease. सिफिलिस की ट्रीटमेंट के बारे में हनुमान ने कहा है, if uncomplicated with sora, it needs only 1 little dose of the best mercurial preparation in order to cure thoroughly and forever the whole syphilis with its canker in just 14 days. Hahnemann used to give 30th potency of Merck's Sol, but in cases where the second and third dose was required, he used to give it in lower potency. Margaret had also used the medicines nitric acid and Merck's cyanide in high potency. Since यहाँ पर मैं आपको एक बात कहना चाहूंगी, जिस तरह से मार्गरेट पोटेंसी यूज करती है काफी सारे केसेस में, से यूज टू गिव ascending potencies. like काफी केसेस में वो ऐसा करती है कि पहले एक डोज 200 का दिया, फिर आफ्टर अ टाइम ऑफ 15 और 15 days or a month or 2 months she give one dose of 1 m, then 10 m after a month and then 50 m. पर काफी सारे केसेस में मैंने ये भी देखा है कि वो असेंडिंग पोटेंसी इस तरह से देती है, जैसे 1 dose of 1 m on one day, then 10 m on the next day and 50 m on the third day. इस तरह से वो पोटेंसीज का यूज भी करती है, which is Margaret's ascending potency. अगर सिफिलिस दूसरे माइजम के साथ कॉम्प्लिकेटेड है तो क्या करना है? फर्स्ट हमको एनहिलेट करना है सोरिक माइजम को विद द बेस्ट एंटीसोरिक, then psychotic miasm with the best antipsychotic, and then syphilitic miasm with the best mercurial preparation. अगर जरूरत पड़े तो यही ऑर्डर को वापस से रिपीट करना है, प्रोवाइडेड कि एक डोज को नेसेसरी टाइम दिया जाए टू कंप्लीट इट्स एक्शन. Here Margaret has described a few cases which I will like to share. There is one case of a 36-year female, no children, no miscarriage, complains of ulceration of 8 months duration in one of the labia minora. Then it turned out to be on examination, typical syphilitic ulcer with a characteristic induration. Wassermann's test was distinctly positive. Nitric acid 201 dose was given. It was in 1918. 14 days she reported no trouble with the ulcer being there still. After 14 days, very comfortable, ulcer completely healed. A month later she got second dose of nitric acid. 4 months later on examination, the skin was found absolutely soft and normal. There was a second case of syphilitic ulcer on a tongue of 40 years duration. Tongue was first seen in 1928. There was a large indurated patch on the forepart of the tongue, ulcerated and fissured. She had it for 40 years. She was given moxinatum 200. Wassermann's test was positive. In 3 weeks, she feels very much better. Feels a different woman. Tongue better, not well. In 2 months, the tongue was no longer painful. Moxinatum was repeated at long interval in 200, 1 m and 50 m in 6 months. It was completely healed and well. Then there was a third case of a patient with chronic stomach problem. A female with vomiting had also a big apparently syphilitic ulcer on the left side of tongue. Here she was given moxinatum 1 m, 10 m and 50 m in single infrequent doses, healed the tongue and improved the stomach condition. Wassermann was negative. The other case was in January 1931, a tall, lean man, all drawn down on the left side. So there was a type of scoliosis. Was sent toward the ward to see if manipulation could help his sciatica. X-rays showed definite subluxation, especially lumbar, but he was so rigid that one could make little impression on him. However, a few days later he again appeared when manipulative ardor got a bad slap in the face, for he was now drawn down as badly on the other side. So after the maneuver, he was drawn badly on the other side. He was too rigid and was discharged from the hospital but came back with a bad penny to my outpatient. I tried again and again. He was better, but that was all. Then he was readmitted, this time to Hahnemann, and again come down to for attempt at manipulation, always hopelessly bulked by his extraordinary rigidity. He was again discharged and now brought a letter from his panel doctor saying that he confessed to syphilis and might it not be a syphilitic condition of the spine. Whereupon he got a dose of moxinatum 1 m and came back next time with a perfectly supple spine, easy to manipulate. He is now upright and painless and has gone back to work, though he still comes up from time to time. Once his panel doctor started treating him with what he considered necessary for such cases, with the result a return of the pain. He has been told no more of that and realized it. He continues well till 1988, which is on record. One other case of mucus colitis discussed by Margaret here. This was a case of 10 years duration. This case was published in October in many of the journal at that time. This is the case of a 48-year female. It was taken on May 26, 1931. That female has a complaint of diarrhea on and off for 10 years from now. Much forcing, has to hurry or stool drops out as if anus is wide open and stool falls out. Stools, jelly, black at times, like tar, has passed long bits of skin, like a tube 7 inches long. This started 10 years ago when she was 14 days pregnant with her second child, and she has been like this since that time. Twice vaccinated, second time a very bad arm. Syphilis was suspected and a Wassermann done. Meanwhile, she got one dose of luticum 1M. Friends, luticum 1M is same as syphilinum 1M. Luticum, lucinum are the other name of syphilinum. 14 days later, June 9, Wasserman was found negative, but patient was already very much better. Diarrhea better, pain better, feeling better, sleeping better. At meet for the first time and was all right. Stool not black now. Says this medicine has done her more good than any she had ever had. Placebo was given. In a month, reports bowel open daily and only once. Placebo was given. 2 months later, quite well, able to eat things. Had gained 5 pounds of weight but tender over the transverse and descending colon. Moxinitum 1M was given. 4 months later, putting on weight 3 pounds again in 1 month. Better than has felt for 10 years. Menstruation twice and no colitis, no diarrhea. Has been in hospital and outpatient department but no one has done her any good before. Is now normal, can't believe in herself so well. Everyone wants to know where she attend. It used to be a misery to live. Placebo was given. In all this 5 months, only one dose of cephalinum 1N and one dose of morcinatum 1M has never felt so well. And later, panel doctor asked her mother, "How is that daughter of yours? I haven't seen her lately." "No, she is going to the hospital." "Which? The homeopathic?" "Oh, they will never do her any good." In January 12, 1932, has had diarrhea and pain one night but is better again. Moxinatum 1 and 1 dose was given. In March, a slight recurrence of diarrhea, soon well, placebo. On May 31, never so well since 16-year-old, placebo was given. Here, the patient had been very ill for 10 years and got only close one dose of lutein in potency and 3 doses of moxinatum 1M at long interval in 14 months, but she was practically well since the first dose. When Wasserman is positive, that should mean something. When it is negative, well, but the effect of the remedy is more convincing. That first tentative prescription was fortunate one. One thought of several remedies from here symptom, but they were not needed. मार्गरेट ने थोड़े और केसेस शेयर किए हैं जिसमें से एक केस है एओर्टाइटिस का जिसमें मिस्टर बी was a good servant in early days of war but he was a nuisance to other servant क्योंकि उनको बार बार हॉस्पिटल ले जाना पड़ता था काफ़ी बार हॉस्पिटल ले जाना पड़ता था 2 बार ऑपरेशन कराने पड़े again admitted in 1931 with the diagnosis of aortitis and at that time Wasserman was positive. After so many miseries he has gone through तब किसी ने सस्पेक्ट किया कि शायद सिफिलिस हो सकता है और बाद में सिफिलिस पॉजिटिव आया मतलब उनको कितना सफर करना पड़ा और फिर जब पता चल गया कि सिफिलिस है just single dose of moxinatum 10m and then later 50m cured that whole patient. Two inpatient cases other than this of chronic vomiting, Wasserman positive, get great amelioration from moxinatum in hypotension. We as homeopath with chronic disease at command cannot afford to lightly dismiss cases from our conscience as old chronics. काफी सारे दूसरे केसेस भी है जिसमें टर्शियरी गोइटर को सिफिलिस का कॉज बताया गया. सिफिलिस was the cause behind the goiter and syphilinum has cured. Beside mercury nitric acid, syphilinum is the other remedy which is very good for syphilitic miasm. As he has said one more case here, it was a case of intestinal keratitis of 20 years duration. That was a case of an elderly woman nearly blind since ophthalmia in childhood, with eyes horrible to look at, which cleared to an unbelievable extent with the doses at long interval of syphilinum and medorinum. The eyes were no longer so unsightly, and a large measure of the sight has been restored. Hahnemann's remedy for gonorrhea are thuja and nitric acid. In these days, we also have medorinum, a very powerful drug preparation of gonorrhea. He gives thuja internally in 30th or 60th potency, and when its action has been exhausted after 15 to 40 days, he gives a dose of nitric acid in 30th potency, which must be allowed to act for as long a time in order to remove the whole psychosis. Then they have shared few cases here of gonorrheal iritis and rheumatism. Gonorrheal rheumatism cases found in sailors which respond exceedingly well to medorinum 30-201 m at long interval. One of the employees at certain store was sent to Margaret's outpatient clinic for the treatment by a lady who has a breezy way of dealing with suffering people, because the patient's hand had been long and splint, and he said that it was not getting better. The hand was found to be small with disuse, drooping and stiff and painful, and not appreciating any attempt to move. The splint had been shaped to droop also, in order to accommodate and support it. X-rays showed all the joints of the wrist equally indefinite and dense. It was not like a TB wrist and not like a rheumatoid condition. Mr. Elwood suggested gonorrhea, and that man got medorinum, repeated a month later. On his second visit, it was already much better. I think he was seen a third time when he was told to come again without fail for a fresh radiograph for the purpose of comparison, but he never came. But the report of the lady who had sent him was, "Oh, he was all right. I saw him few days ago. He had no splint and he was writing with that hand." He was not the one who returned to give thanks. There is another case of a 9-year-old girl who came in April 1932 for the soreness and discharge from the vulva. The swab was done and it shows gonococci. Medorinum 10 was given one dose. In a month, less discharge, no redness outside now, but still redness inside. Swab gave a few gonococci, less pus. Medorinum tannum 1 dose. Next month, better herself, better color, some days hardly any discharge, which is not watery. No irritation now. Not so. Medorinum CM 1 dose. Another 2 months after, discharge was gone and now slightly again. Child has grown. Swab shows no gonococci. मार्गरेट सेज दैट मेडिकोज के लिए दूसरी डिजीजेस लाइक सिफिलिस और गोनोरिया को एक क्रॉनिक डिजीज के फॉर्म में समझना इजी था, बट वो लोग स्टिल ये बात को बिलीव नहीं करना चाहते कि नॉन वेनेरियल क्रॉनिक डिजीज लाइक skin diseases are chronic disease and not merely local infection. But he has faith, but Hahnemann has faith that it will come out to be confirmed at end, because Hahnemann's questionable statement and absurdities have an uncomfortable way of turning out right after being laughed for a very long time. So itch is also an internal disease. She has shared one case of itch cured by Sorainum CM. Etiology of Hahnemann sora is associated with leprosy, tinea, crista lactea, herpes, etc. And for him, these are surely not just cutaneous diseases which may be removed from the skin from external application. Also, his antisorics are not just one or two, as was the case with syphilis or psychosis, but a couple of dozen at least. सो हनीमैन का जो सोरा है उसके लिए इच डिजीजेस में लेप्रेसी, टीनिया, क्रिस्टालेक्टिया, हर्पिस एक्सेट्रा सारी स्किन डिजीजेस रिस्पॉन्सिबल हो रही है विच इज लीडिंग टू द माइजम सोरा. There is nothing clear cut when it comes to SORA, but the conviction that chronic non-venereal disease are also dependent on parasitic microorganism. So ये जो non-venereal chronic disease है उसमें भी एक चीज common है, वो है the causes parasitic microorganism. Margaret is sure here that Hahnemann would have been if Hahnemann would have been alive today, his chronic non-venereal disease Sura would long ago have shorted itself into not one but a dozen such. So, जैसे कि एक syphilis miasm है, एक psychotic miasm है, दोनों की cause है parasitic microorganism that are Treponema pallidum in one case and gonorrhea bacteria in the other case. और थर्ड केस में सोरा में कोई क्लियर कट गाइडलाइन नहीं है कि कौन सा माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिज्म, बट इन जनरल विच आर लीडिंग टू सम क्यूटेनियस इरप्शन. बट मार्गरेट को ये कन्विक्शन है कि अगर हेनेमैन ज्यादा टाइम तक अलाइव होते तो ये जो नॉन वेनेरियल क्रॉनिक डिजीज है उसका एक ग्रुप सोरा नहीं रहता बट डजन ऑफ सच होते. और वहीं से शुरू हो रहा है द यूज ऑफ नोजॉड. यहाँ से ही तो स्टार्ट हो रही है नोजॉड की जर्नी. इफ यू क्लियरली सी, syphilinum was a nosode which was used to treat syphilitic cases. गोनोरिया को ट्रीट करने के लिए जो नोजोड यूज हुआ है वो है मेडोरिनम, और सोराइनम इज अ नोजोड टू ट्रीट सोरा. और इसी तरह से मार्गरेट ने काफी सारे केसेस दिए हैं जिसमें स्मॉल पॉक्स के बाद जो भी सारे क्रॉनिक डिजीजेस अराइज हो रहे हैं वहां पर उन्होंने वेरियोलिनम यूज किया है और दूसरे काफी सारे केसेस. सो दिस इज हाउ मार्गरेट सीज क्रॉनिक डिजीज to be the cause of parasitic microorganism, and she used the same nosode to treat that. फ्रेंड्स, हमारे यहाँ भी काफी सारे एग्जाम्पल्स मॉडर्न बुक्स में भी आ रहे हैं, जैसे कि चिकन पॉक्स के जो वायरसेस है वो वर्टिब्रल कॉलम में या ब्रेन में लॉन्ग टर्म रहते हैं. स्ट्रेप्टोकोकल थ्रोट इन्फेक्शन से फिर स्ट्रेप्टोकोकल कार्डाइटिस, रूमेटिक हार्ट डिजीजेस होती है. सो दीज आर ऑल्सो कमिंग इन द मॉडर्न बुक्स नाउ, और शायद उस तरह के नोजोड्स, ये मेरा अपना व्यू है, कि यूज में आ सकते हैं आगे जाके. एक और बात जो मार्गरेट ने यहाँ पर शेयर की है, दैट फॉर हैनेमैन देयर वाज acute as well as chronic parasitic disease caused by microorganism. In both the cases, infection take place in a moment, but in acute diseases, after affection, system with its parasitic growth establishing its peculiar fever and skin infection, skin eruption have peculiar nature of becoming extinct from the body, like smallpox or measles these days. Margaret says that this acute infection fever, after their course and after having been apparently over and case out by unwilling host, must leave sequel in their train, and from her experience she says that at least many of them were capable of residing in the body in chronic latent form, persisting as some of unrecognized chronic parasitic microbic disease in which one must try to recognize if best work is to be done. She shared one case of neurotic who was better with variolinum even if the history of smallpox was long back. Margaret then shared three cases. First case of skin disfiguration after smallpox, second case of cataract and glycosuria at the age of 56 having the history of smallpox at the age of 3, and third case of gastric trouble and reaction at the age of 55 having history of smallpox at the age of 7, all responding remarkably well with few doses of Verulinum 200. So, we can see here that when there was history of smallpox, Verulinum was found to be useful, and this was considered like included in the Soric miasm. फ्रेंड्स ये चैप्टर मुझे इतना इम्पोर्टेंट लगता है सो आई एम ट्राइंग के वर्ड टू वर्ड जो मार्गरेट ने लिखा है वो मैं आपको यहाँ पर पढ़ के सुनाऊं. What's he write is, what about the sickness that occurs after pneumonia? So it is not a skin disease like gonorrhea, syphilis or any skin disease, but what about the pneumonia? A case of chorea in a child with a temperature and heart affected is suggestive here. The child had pneumonia twice and bronchopneumonia twice and was given a single dose of pneumococcine 30, which promptly cured the chorea and put the heart right. I came across the case accidentally the other day among my old records of children outpatient work during war. Influenzanum was been known to cure persons who has never been well since influenza, even years after. Here is a case of post-influenzal epilepsy. One case of a 10-year boy, November 1929, flew 12 months ago, then two fits. Now trouble ever since. For last 10 months, fits once or twice a week in bed in early AM and special brand on Sundays at any time of the day. Aura में cramp in the right leg, clenches hands and teeth in fits, enuresis several times and winds come up. Feats of very violent temper, goes for her mother, obstinate, fights rather than do what she is told. Treated at Children's Hospital for 6 months in the OPD department. When she had flu, was hysterical and screaming. Pupils were plus. Iris a mere tiny ream. TB from mother's side. Very sleepless. Wakes 20 times in the night. Influenzanum 200, 3 doses, 6 hourly. She needed no other medicine. Saw her 2 months later, no fits since here, sleeps well. Her mother said she is wonderfully better, no more trouble than the other children. I have never known one bottle of medicine do so much good. I'm told that it was supposed to be a sleepy sickness after influenza. Also that the local doctor who had failed to help her said, live off the pills and see how she gets on. It is not good for the child to get into the habit of taking drugs. Such an rebuking sin. But he did not know out funny little ways that the dangerous pills was only saclac. What about trench fever with lies as on intermediate host? So here one more case of trench fever, which is again of parasitic in nature. Sir John Y. and I know a couple of cases. An officer away from the front for a while, here with trench fever, with morning fever at 9 a.m. and such irritability that he had to live away from home. He only wanted to smash the furniture when he felt so frenetic. Now, Chamomilla was has all that, the terrible temper, the 9 a.m. fever, and the miserable jerking, and the pain in the extremities that make out night ideas and bed impossible. A single dose of chamomilla in hypertension sent that soldier back to the trenches after a whole year of suffering. A second case, a Brig General home for a fortnight on privileged leave with just same fever and nightly suffering. Again a dose of chamomilla cured, and he went back at the end of his fortnight hardly able to crawl about but determined. A week later he wrote in answer to inquiries, I am as strong as an elephant, quite well. And still later case, much later, of rheumatism, ever since the war, that suggested the chronic parasitic entailed by trench fever, and also chamomilla its magical remedy. One case of a 31-year-old person on September 16, 1930, pain in both the knees since the war extend to ankle. Was at night, with jerking of the leg, very irritable. Says it was from getting wet in trenches. Chamomilla 1 m 3 doses. Came a second time 5 months later. Says that the pain went absolutely away in a week after he had in all those years. Then typhoid carriers. So मार्गरेट हमको यहाँ पर ऐसी क्रॉनिक पैरासाइटिक डिजीजेस के यहाँ लेके जा रही है, जैसे अकॉर्डिंग टू हर टाइफॉइड इज अगेन अ टाइप ऑफ माइक्रो पैरासाइटिक माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिज्म डिजीज जो कैरियर फॉर्म में क्रॉनिक फॉर्म में रहती है. Then, typhoid carriers, we know that typhoid may continue to exist in a person who had had typhoid as one of the Henneman's chronic parasitic disease. So, typhoid can be one of the Henneman's chronic diseases. I remember in student days that there was some excitement over a case when there was typhoid organism found in the pus from the compound fracture, where the bone failed to unite and the person had typhoid years before. And Dr. Kalina tell me a similar case he saw in the London hospital. A man of about 40-year-old had typhoid in Russia in 1914. He remained well till 1928. Then he was admitted with a cold abscess of breastbone. Pathological examination showed virulent typhoid organism in the pus. Diphtheria carriers too can prove very trying. I am told that diphtherium may not only protect from infection but also clear the throat from this carrier. Tuberculosis also is a parasitic chronic disease which Henneman classes under his psoric disease, and tubercle heredity certainly and probably acquired may assume a latent form and give very little apparent trouble, only that other diseases, acute pneumonia, etc., in such person respond promptly well and satisfactorily to a dose of tuberculinum after hanging fire. Now we'll talk about Burnett's vaccinosis. First of all, we'll try to understand that what is vaccinosis according to Burnett. Vaccinosis is a term coined by Burnett as indefinite chronic ill health which take place in the different individual differently and give rise to many other diseases. So, vaccination होने के बाद में जो ill health, it can be an acute or chronic, जो एक इंडिविजुअल में डेवलप होती है, उसके लिए बर्नेट ने यूज किया है वर्ड वैक्सीनोसिस. बट यहाँ पर दो बहुत ही ब्यूटीफुल कंपैरिजन मार्गरेट ने दिए हैं जो काफी सारे माइज्म से मैच कर रहा है, और वो है फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल वैक्सीनेशन के बारे में जो हेनेमान की थियरी है that what happens when two similar disease meet together in an organism. तो वो थियरी उन्होंने वैक्सीनेशन के साथ कंपेयर की है कि when two similar disease जैसे कि टू डिसिमिलर डिजीज होते हैं तो they cannot repel one another, nor they nor can they, like dissimilar disease, suspend each other, nor can two like either they can repel two dissimilar diseases, either they can repel each other or they can form a double complicated disease. But two similar disease होते हैं तो क्या होता है, two similar disease will extinguish each other when they meet in the organism. The superadded stronger morbific potency on account of its similitude of effect take possession chiefly of the same part of the organism either though affected by the weaker which is consequently. So जो वैक्सीनेशन की जो प्रोसेस है उसको मार्गरेट ने हनेमान की what happens when two similar disease meet together in the organism के साथ कंपेयर किया है। और दूसरी बात जो मार्गरेट ने इस चैप्टर में लिखी है वो ये है कि बर्नेट की जो वैक्सीनोसिस की थियोरी है वो खुद बर्नेट ने ये डेप्थ में नहीं समझी थी जितना मार्गरेट ने उसको क्रॉनिक पैरासाइटिक डिजीज के साथ कंपेयर किया कि क्रॉनिक पैरासाइटिक माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिज्म की वजह से जो हैनेमैन की सोरिक सिफिलिटिक और साइकोटिक डिजीज है उसी तरह से वैक्सीनोसिस की जो थियोरी है वो भी एक टाइप की हैनेमैन्स क्रॉनिक डिजीज है, क्रॉनिक पैरासाइटिक डिजीज ही है। क्योंकि इसमें भी क्या होता है जैसा सिफिलिस और गोनोरिया में होता है कि इन्फेक्शन पहले लोकल मतलब तुरंत इन्फेक्शन लगने के बाद तुरंत ही बॉडी में वो इन्फेक्शन स्प्रेड होता है और फिर उसका मैनिफेस्टेशन एट द साइट ऑफ इन्फेस्टेशन होता है। जो साइट से वो अंदर गया है उसका फर्स्ट रिएक्शन वहीं पर दिखता है, जैसे इन द फॉर्म ऑफ सिफिलिटिक शैंकर और गोनोरियल वार्ड्स कि जहां से वो अंदर एंटर हुआ है। तो वैक्सीनेशन में भी यही होता है, जैसे हम बीसीजी वैक्सीन लेते हैं तो एट द साइड ऑफ इनैक्यूलेशन वहां पर इरप्शंस जनरेट होते हैं और फिर उसके बाद अंदर उसकी क्रॉनिक इल हेल्थ डेवलप होती है। So infection take place in a moment, then follows a quiescent period till the whole organism being infected reacts vigorously and endeavors to throw out the disease on the skin. Here also at place of entry of the infection. Then after a more or less violent reaction, the body ceases to struggle and accommodate itself to a sort of latent toleration in which, though no longer infectious, the organism live in unscorched, not killed, to influence adversely the whole life history of its host. So ये इन्फेक्शन जो एक लेटेंट फॉर्म में ऑर्गेनिज्म के अंदर होता है वो उनके सारे ही रिएक्शन को डिफर करना स्टार्ट कर देता है। मतलब टू द डिजीज और टू द ड्रग जो एक पर्सन का रिएक्शन होना चाहिए वो आफ्टर वैक्सीनेशन थोड़ा अलग हो जाता है इन एवरी एस्पेक्ट in such a way that the later even when homeopathically indicated, so जो superficially indicated homeopathic remedy होती है वो फिर काम नहीं करती जैसा कि हेनेमन्स क्रॉनिक मायज़म में होता है। And Bernard has shown the beautiful curative work that can be done in many chronic conditions by taking vaccinosis into account with its great remedy thuja. His vaccinosis is a state of indefinite chronic ill health which take place different in different individual according to their personal makeup. One becoming asthmatic, so after vaccination one person may get asthma, other may get epilepsy, other may get stomach upset, and the other patient may get joint conditions or neuralgias or lifelong headaches. Such cases are very puzzling and baffling, terribly resistant to the treatment and never to be unlocked without the key that fits Thuja. Thuja, that wonderful antidote to vaccination, unlike its acute and chronic form. So वैक्सीनोसिस के भी acute और chronic form होते हैं. जैसे acute form में severe fever होना या abscess होना जो normally after vaccination acute form में दिखता है, और chronic form में जो सारी chronic diseases की बात हुई कि जैसे asthma है, epilepsy है, न्यूरalgias है, headaches है, etc. So Dr. Barnett used to say that Thuja was worth £200 a year to him. So one more case is described here. I am sorry, you please ignore the background voice because there is a little bit noise in the background. A little girl, so there is one case here of a little girl subject ever since vaccination to epileptic fits, or when these are better, to a pustular eruption on her leg. सो एक गर्ल है जिसको वैक्सीनेशन के बाद से एपिलेप्सी स्टार्ट हो गया एंड वो कोई भी मेडिसिन से रिस्पॉन्ड नहीं कर रही थी, बट आफ्टर फ्यू डोजेस ऑफ थूजा द चाइल्ड ब्लूम फॉर्थ हार्डली टू बी रिकॉग्नाइज्ड. अदर केस ऑफ अ small boy with a purulent nail infection, Onychia, a terrible thumbnail. Silisha failed. He was admitted into LHH hospital where, this is London Homeopathic Hospital, where the nail was removed and the thumb healed. Then began a series of abscesses, large, superficial, mere bag of pus, most puzzling. Then it came out he had been 8 times vaccinated by a persistent and conscientious doctor because it did not take. He then got thuja and the last manifestation of his forward died away without discharging and he remained well. Uh, There is one more case. An infant recently vaccinated, very ill, high temperature, a rash all over the body, and the vesicle on the arm just pustulating. The baby got thuja and was practically, this is a case of acute vaccinosis, and was practically well the next day, leaving no scar. Dr. Barnett has published, these were the cases of Margaret, and now Dr. Barnett has also published many cases, one of which is described in this book is, he was called to see a dying baby, 10 weeks old, ghastly white and collapse. Its wet nurse has been changed 2 or 3 collapse. Its wet nurse had been changed 2 or 3 days before. She was quite well and looked it. Only her arm was little painful. She had been revaccinated the day before she took charge of the infant. So उनकी जो नर्स थी वो चेंज हुई थी. जो पहली नर्स थी उनके टाइम पे उनको वैक्सीनेशन हुआ था और उसके आर्म में थोड़ा दर्द हो रहा था और फिर वापस रीवैक्सीनेशन हुआ था. Burnett concluding that the baby was sucking the vaccinal poison with its nurse milk gave Thuja 60 to both the infant and the nurse. The baby improved the same day and was practically well next morning. The vesicle on the nurse's arm withered. Clark has a striking article on thuja in his dictionary, well worth reading. He gives the gist of the Burnett's little book with many observations of his own. Herring-guiding symptoms also give interesting thuja cases, some after vaccination. So, here Margaret has compared the Burnett's theory of vaccination to Hahnemann's chronic parasitic disease. Okay. Here Margaret has discussed many cases, but as it is a book summary, I cannot describe every case, but there is one very nice case of mental deficiency responding well. So I will discuss the full case here. It was a case of a boy of 2 years and 11 months, first seen in November 1931. It was 8 months cesarean baby. Mother had an evil discharge before the previous child was born. When 8 months pregnant with this child, began to have great pain, so was admitted to the gynec hospital for a week. Then at cottage hospital they tried to induce labor and then did the cesarean operation. She was ill after this for 6 months due to septicemia and peritonitis. Life despaired of for 2 months. The boy, David, is a nice, healthy looking child, had rather large, fairy, curly hair, always healthy, and looks like very nice. Now, at just 3 year old, father knows his father and mother but never says two words together. Pathetic, vacant eyes. Only walked at 2 years. Very dirty. Incontinence of stool and urine at night. Has to be watched as everything goes into his mouth. The other day ate मतलब the boy ate dog's feces. Has seen three different doctors who all gave different diagnoses. At the children's hospital, she was told that he had water on in his brain. The doctor says you can't replace his brain, he will never be normal. Lies on his tummy like the baby lie or sleep on his tummy in the knee elbow position and rocks himself. Will do that for an hour, make such a noise with his cot and by banging his head against the wall that he may have to sleep on the floor for the sake of neighbors and his head. At 1 year old had bronchitis, so he has past history of bronchitis and encephalitis and was vaccinated 2 times at 3 months. His mother's while discharge, she has she has it still suggested medorinum as the mother was having discharges, so the medicine was suggested like medorinum or Hahnemannian's thuja. The knee elbow position suggested medorinum. His other symptoms suggested sulfur. His vaccination together with the mother's discharge gave a casting word for thuja just to start with, and he got thuja 1 m, 10 m and 50 m. The three doses given one each morning for 3 days. 4 weeks later, on December 14, he was wonderfully better. A treat to have him now wonderfully different. Talks several words straight off now. Understand what you say. Used only to look vacantly as if to say, what do you mean? Today said bye bye, Dada, bus. Tells me Dada has gone to office and says his brother has gone to school. Notice things in a room, points and describe, getting fatter, sleeps better, less rocking. Had a birthday partly 4 days ago and was as normal as anyone. All the time when out says, what's that? What's that? So he has become more curious now. Loves the water tap and can't be kept out of mischief. Mother says the great Ormond Street doctor said you cannot replace brain, but you did, Dr. Margaret. Never affectionate before. He is now very affectionate. On January 22, 1932, after 1 month, he could say he could only say a few single words. Now says a lot in sentences. Could not lie on his back. Can now. Plays about the room here and chatter. Very observant. There was a nun in the train today. He pointed, Mummy, what's that? And when she tried to stop him, he shook her. Mummy, what's that? Chattered all the way up. When Nun got out, said, Man's gone. David is now a charming little child, full of animation and chatter. 2 months ago, he was an idiot. Of course, it was a case of mental deficiency as supposed, merely a case of arrested development. No longer arrested, thanks to Thuja. They have not taken the trouble to bring him third time. But note how homeopathic remedy can turn a seemingly brainless idiot into in just 2 months into a charming normal child. But why go so high with Thuja when others, Burnett for instance, have made such a play with it in the lower potencies? Well, one only work consciously or unconsciously within the range of one's own experience, and this way, an early experience with Thuja, Dr. Nash, when in England, finding a sympathetic audience, used to come to us and sit by me. And when I was working in children's clinic at Dr. Robertson's day, a child came up with large flat warts on the tongue. Besides warts on inside cheek and face, the tongue was has been excised and cauterized. In Keene, I had given Thuja 30 a couple of months earlier with little or no effect. Then the child had whooping cough. Now it came again. Dr. Nash fished out his pocket case and put some globules of Thuja CM on the child's tongue. Next time it was seen, the warts were practically gone, and a dose later of Thuja 10 finished them. After that, I have preferred giving Thuja in high. Dr. Nez was very good to me. After he got back to America, he sent me 144 of his CM potencies, all proved by as to their value by him, and they are very valuable remedies. So I used to give always Thuja in high potencies. Hence the summary, and here I truly believe that this summary will be helpful to you, especially in your clinical practice. I highly recommend everyone to read the whole book if possible, as it contains many more original cases of Dr. Margaret. Use the clinical tips given in this book and spread good results with homeopathy so that the motto of this book summary will be fulfilled. Friends, please click like and subscribe button if you found it useful. Maybe I am not a good speaker, but the main aim of spreading homeopathic clinical knowledge to everyone will be satisfied or will be fulfilled.